Okay, gang, we have a very small crowd in person, but I know we also have some people online. So we'll get started. Welcome, welcome. You braved the rain if you're here in Indiana with us. If you're online, you're lucky because it's just gloomy and rainy here. You are at Indy Senior Living Series. I'm Lisa Treadwell. I have Sarah Rothermick and Sarah McCord here. We're Indy real estate experts in downsizing Indy. You guys all know that because you're regulars. If you're online, welcome. We can see you and you can see us, hopefully. If you've got questions online, it's *6 on your phone, or just raise your hand or unmute yourself, because when you come on to the Zoom meeting, your cameras are off and your mics are muted. You're welcome to turn on your cameras. I hope you do turn on your cameras because it makes the meeting more interactive. If you're online and you're at home or at your office, you certainly know where your restrooms are. If you're in person, you guys know just out the door and to the left. And Wheaton has beautiful restrooms. I finally visited them last month, and they are actually really nice restrooms. So they have really good restrooms here. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We are so grateful to our sponsors. Several of them are in the back. Brightstar brought some pastries and coffee for you. Addie's back there. You guys can just hop up and grab some snacks if you get hungry. And then at the end, we're giving away a huge set of roses that Eagledale brought, and then a gift basket that ClearCaptions always brings. Some of the sponsors are in the back. I know a couple of them were sick. Something's going around, so they didn't want to get us sick, which is good. But go back and visit the ones that are here. They've got some educational material and some information, so be sure to visit them. And then I know Todd with Wheaton is here too. I think he's got to leave a little early, but he'll be here roaming around too. So if you are here in person, you've got your packet, you've got all the panelists. We have 2 panelists in person and 1 online. And if you're online on Zoom, Sarah's going to pop the Google Drive link into the chat, where you can also find the handouts that we have here in person. So you'll have everything. Our sponsors information is in the packet. Our panelists information is in there. And then our list of questions that we're going to be talking about today. I think that's it. Did I forgot my my housekeeping notes that I usually have. I think that's it. So remember, *6 on your phone for questions. If you're here in person, hop up and get some food or go to the restroom if you need. And yeah, it looks like we have a couple more coming in there. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves, and we'll start. Michelle, we'll start with you. Oh, there's the housekeeping. They were on the screen. We'll start with you, and then we'll go to our in-person folks. And so remember, just give it a second when you start talking, because it kind of fades in.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Melissa Boncher.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but I just realized I've been calling you Michelle, and I'm so sorry for that.
I go with it. It's fine. So I am a registered dietitian. I have a master's degree in nutritional science, and I'm currently getting my MBA through Indiana University. I've worked in a variety of different roles. I've worked in hospital settings. I've worked in outpatient clinics. I've worked, in diabetes, weight loss. And in my current role, I am an oncology dietitian for City of Hope. So I have the privilege of supporting cancer patients throughout their journey.
That's great. Thank you, Melissa. Now I have Michelle in my head. I don't know where that came from. All right, we'll go with you guys, and you're sharing the mic. Don't be shy. Yeah, there.
Yeah. All right. I know everybody in the room can kind of hear me already. So my name's Yvette Ochoa. I am with the Jordan YMCA. We're over on 86 and Westfield, right there by Northview and North Central. So I am the associate wellness director there. So we run things from like senior lunch and learns to chronic disease prevention programs. We have a ton of group fitness, pool activities, things like that. Our outdoor pool is about to open here soon for the summer. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys out there. Yeah, that's about it.
I'm Gary Brown. I am the Wellness Director at Avondale Meadows YMCA, which is located on 38th and Keystone area, tucked away in a little corner. If you see the building say HealthNet, that's our building. So don't be shy and think it's an office building for doctors. It is a YMCA. And just like Yvette was saying, we have a lot of the same programs, except we do not have a pool, so we don't have the aquatics area. I have been with the YMCA for 10 years. I started off as a wellness advisor, and currently, again, I am the wellness director. So I've done everything from group X classes, personal training, chronic disease classes. So I've done everything within the wellness department that I can do. And I look forward to helping as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, I read that in your bio. And Gary is taller than me when he's sitting down. So he's super
This is
tall.
true. This is true.
No, I noticed when you were walking in from the parking lot, I was like, whoa, he's tall, because you can't really tell from headshots, you know, so. And I will say the microphones are mostly for the folks online, so that we get good sound that way. And Muhammad will tell us if he can't hear us, so yeah. Okay, so we'll dive in and I'll ask you guys in person if you've got questions, as you know, and then online again, just *6 or type it into the comments box or just unmute your mic and start screaming at us. Okay, so the first question, or the second question actually, can you share some insights on how diet impacts mental health? We're talking specifically in aging adults here because that's our target audience here and most people online. And don't be shy, dive in if whoever has something on their mind.
I see you looking to me. Is it?
Oh,
Did you want me to go first?
Sure, you can go first, Melissa.
All right, all right. Well, so what I find to be fascinating about this topic, I guess, and just I've been a dietitian for a long time, and as nutrition has evolved, is I think for a long time I don't know that we thought food really had the power to impact our mental health, but we do know now through science and research that food has the power to positively or negatively impact our mental health and our emotional well-being through multiple mechanisms. But the one I wanted to just touch on today that I'm really passionate about is the whole the gut-brain connection. We now know that the gut and the brain have this ability to talk to one another. And we actually call the gut the second brain because the gut, this is just a random fun fact for you, the gut has the ability to function on its own without the support of the brain. And the gut is a host to over 500 million neurons. And it also is comprised of bacteria and these little tiny, this is kind of odd to think about, but our guts have all of this really good bacteria inside, and that bacteria has the power to reduce inflammation, make various hormones and neurotransmitters in the body. And, so if you feed the good bacteria the good food, then the bacteria in turn does good stuff for us.
that's very interesting. Thank you. You guys?
Yeah. I like to think about it when I first saw this question in terms of just energy levels. I know that as we age, our appetite kind of starts to slow down and we forget to eat or we're just not hungry. And later on, in the day, you're like, why am I so cranky? I mean, personally, I know that too. If I skip meals or something, get too busy during the day, that can affect your day and kind of affect how you feel. And if this is kind of like a chronic thing for you, I think that that can kind of affect your mental health and impact you in a negative way.
Yeah, and I understand through some of the research I have done over the years that our nutrition, especially when it comes to aging adults, is linked to Alzheimer's, dementia, and things of that nature. So I always think of nutrition in the body as a sports car. If you have a sports car, you're going to put high octane gas in the sports car. Our bodies work like a sports car. It runs better, more efficiently if it's fed nutritionist dense foods that will act as our gasoline. If we put junk in the body, we're going to get junk out the body. We put good stuff in the body will work efficiently.
That's good. And Sarah reminded me, a lot of these questions have health, nutrition, and mental health combined because we are combining May and June's event. If you guys saw that in the newsletter, we are canceling June's event because we have some realtor training in this room. I wanted to mention that at the top with the housekeeping items, but she reminded me. So it's in your packets also. So for the folks online to just remember June, and we'll send out reminders. This is May and June combined. So I had a question and now I forget it. So it'll come back. Probably has to do with that Alzheimer's and dementia thing that you mentioned. Maybe I'm not feeding my brain and my gut good foods. So on that topic, can you share, are there specific foods and foods groups that we should consume more of to support brain health and emotional resilience?
I can tackle part of this one because I know Melissa's the nutritionalist, the dietitian, so she would know more than I would as a personal trainer. But to me, it's like fish is a good resource of food to eat because of the omega-3 fatty acids.
What kind of fish specifically? Is there a certain type or just?
I'm more of salmon. I love salmon, so that is one type of fish. I want to say tilapia is another one.
Tuna.
Not sure perch. Melissa, you can answer that better than me. But I believe it's like that. Dark chocolates, I hear. I don't like the taste of dark chocolates myself, but I hear dark chocolates are
You're
good.
out of here. You have to leave now. No.
So you got foods of that nature, of course, fruits and vegetables. We got to get that protein and things of that nature. Blueberries. Coffee is interesting because of the caffeine. So that's a good source of food to help with. And Melissa, you can begin answer it a lot better than I probably can.
Oh, I think we're a great team here, and I fully support what you just said. You are absolutely right. You know, you probably hear dietitians lecture over and over again, eat whole foods, the my plate, the blah blah blah, but really it's because it's the lean proteins, it's the fruits, it's the veggies, it's the fish, it's the beans, the nuts, the seeds. All of those things have specific superpowers that can help support your mental health and emotional well-being. You mentioned fish, and you are absolutely right. It's because of the omega-3 fatty acids. Well, why? Because omega-3s, they produce serotonin. And what does serotonin do? It's a feel-good neurotransmitter. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. What is dementia? What is Alzheimer's disease? It's inflammation. Tryptophan, Thanksgiving, turkey, you fall asleep, right? So tryptophan is an essential amino acid that, again, produces serotonin. It actually gets converted to serotonin. And so eating foods rich in tryptophan, eating foods rich in antioxidants, those are your colorful fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds. So I don't know about you, but that seems complicated to me and hard to remember. So we just encourage you to eat a whole food diet.
I heard and I've read that the darker the skin on fruit, the more anti-inflammatory agents are present. Is that a thing? Like
Yeah.
plums, blueberries.
Yeah,
blackberries,
I do
raspberries.
think that the color does play a role, right? So each fruit and vegetable has what's called a phytonutrient, and that phytonutrient is responsible for the fruit or vegetable's skin color, and those are the powerhouse nutrients. So yeah, your cherries, your blueberries, yep.
But when it comes down to it, if you, like you said, a whole food diet, a balanced meal with your protein, your carbs, your healthy fats, that'll get you everything that you need in just one meal, basically, with all the things that you need as far as minerals, the protein, lean protein to help build muscle. Even though you might not be lifting, trying to get huge and muscular like some people in the room, Todd, but it still helps build muscle, and it still goes to help you maintain muscle as you get older so that you don't get weaker and muscles atrophy, and then you find out that you're having to use people to help you get around or an assistive device and things of that nature.
So for some of us, it's just us at home, or maybe there's just two of us. And this kind of ties into the next question. What are some practical strategies for incorporating more nutrient dense food into the diet and into our diets? If we've got limited mobility or access to fresh produce, or it's just one or two of us at home, it's very difficult to find meals that we can cook that are small enough where we don't have leftovers for, 10 days or, so can we talk about that?
I see on Gary's notes here, he has Sequoia on there. I know that they have some kind of like passes, things like that to kind of shuttle people from place to place if you are not currently driving. Another thing is maybe like DoorDash, meal delivery services, order a bunch of meals, pack them in the fridge for the week, and then you're kind of good to go. What else? Getting those things that are going to last a little bit longer might seem like it's more ideal because then you don't have to go to the grocery store. But sometimes those things that are long lasting shelf life aren't the best for us. So we got to still kind of think about that also. What else?
Frozen.
Frozen vegetables. Yep. So those are a lot, more like lifetime for you. So don't skip that aisle in the grocery store. Try to stock up on those types of things.
Oh, there you go.
Always make a plan before you go to the supermarket. Have a plan, have an idea of what you want to purchase. So one, you don't sit there and waste time looking for what you want. Two, you don't waste money because you've already planned out. One thing I enjoy doing is my wife doesn't like it, but I love doing it. I go on the Kroger app and I will order everything that I want and then go pick it up. So I don't
That's
have
your
to.
list.
That's my list. And then I have them do the shopping for me. I show up, I pick it up, I drive it home. I don't spend extra money. That's one. Another thing I do for my aunt and her husband, they're both, he's in his 90s, I believe. She's late 70s, I believe. They don't get out a lot. And when they do, sometimes things happen. The last couple of times my aunt has got out, she has fallen and ended up in the hospital. So, and she takes care of him. So a lot of times she will either text me or send my wife her grocery list. And then I will go on DoorDash on either Myers or Aldi's, and I order what they want and have it sent to them. So family members could do that for you if you're unable to get out. She mentioned Socorro Central Indiana Committee on Aging, I believe it's called, Council on Aging. They have resources to help you be able to find food. Maybe you get a shuttle like through Indigo that will take you to the grocery store. Wait and then sit around, wait for you and take you back to home. So there's options out there if you're unable to get around and get mobile and things like that.
Sure. And yeah, with the invention of Instacart
Yes.
and grocery stores with the delivery capabilities, it's great for budgeting. And then also, yeah, if you do have mobility issues, you can just have the food delivered. I'm a huge fan of Instacart. Melissa, did you want to add anything?
Well, sure, I would love to, but I also have a question. Are there local farmers or co-ops in your area that can deliver fresh produce to, your door?
Yes.
Do you want to talk more on that?
We used to have one that was called Green Bean Delivery, and I think they're gone out of service now, but yeah, there's a couple meal prep places that will do full balanced meals and deliver them to you for like a week at a time kind of thing. But Mud Creek Farms is a farm on the northeast side of Indianapolis, and they have a website where you can order beef and different meats, but also vegetables. They also have a little farm stand you can stop at. And there's probably others that I could look up. If you live in a certain area, I could find that for you, but we do have some of those.
I'm going to bring the mic to you so we can hear. Okay, we have a question or comment in the audience.
Excuse me. Sequoia is doing produce boxes every 2 weeks.
Yes, yeah, I think that's come up before when we've had this topic. Socoa does the produce boxes. Yeah. And
Right.
are there no restrictions on those? Does anyone know?
That I do not know if there's any restrictions, but I will say this. At Avondale Meadows YMCA starting, I believe, June 5th, and running to August 28th from 12 to 2, we have a Gleaners food giveaway. There's no restrictions. It's drive up. All you have to do is drive up, ask how many people in your household. You tell them 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. Then you go through the line and we will put food in your car. So that's going to be starting here on this Wednesday, I believe, from 12 to 2 over at the back part of Avondale Meadows YMCA.
Okay. Anything else online?
I guess I just wanted to kind of mention too that, I think we tend to overcomplicate eating healthy, and I don't think it has to be that complicated. And while easier said than done, I just really, advocate for keeping it simple. If cooking is a challenge for you, or you don't like cooking, or you're an awful cook, no judgments, but find easier to prepare foods like eggs, boiling up a dozen eggs on a Sunday and eating them throughout the week and repurposing those eggs, right? So one day it could be a hard-boiled egg. The next day you could, scramble an egg. If it's not cooked, scramble the egg. You could make egg salad, or rotisserie chicken. Rotisserie chicken is one of those. It's easy. You can repurpose it into multiple meals. So just trying to keep it simple, and then eating is a social activity. And I think we often forget that until we're alone. But, just trying to look to your community and embrace your community and enjoy meals with friends and neighbors and, church members. I think that can help too.
That's great. I like that eating is a social activity. And a lot of restaurants have like the lighter fare, portions on their menus.
And Melissa, you're so right, because I do not like cooking and I'm not the greatest cook in the world. But one thing I have gotten into recently, I do a lot of meal prepping with a crock pot. And I found a whole bunch of recipes online that it takes 5 minutes to prep, and then I just let it cook for 4 hours and go do other thought. I'm notorious at my ride at going to the staff lounge, set up my crock pot, start something, and walk away. And then have the whole ride smelling good, and then everyone's hungry and they're looking at my food. I'm like, no, y'all can't touch it. That's my lunch for all next week. But no, that's what I do because it's easy. And like Melissa said, keep it simple. It's easy. It doesn't take, I think the most ingredients I had in one meal was probably 4 ingredients. Simple. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'm coming back to you so you have the mic.
I found a wonderful little small crock pot for $20 at Walmart online, but I buy packages of chicken, the tenders,
Yep.
and then I separate them into little baggies, 2 or 3 at a time, so that they're always in the freezer. I've got the meat there, and I use that little crock pot frequently. And I had a package of broccoli. You know, it's real easy, and you can make it smaller. I made the mistake at first, and I ate it for 5 days, and that wasn't any good. But if you can just put a small cup of rice, half a cup of rice, or sometimes I just make the soup, put the soup and everything in, and then cook the spaghetti and put it over spaghetti.
That's excellent. That is
And you get your
excellent.
grains and
Yep.
yeah.
Do the same thing. 'Cause sometimes I cut up a pepper and put it right in there. With my favorite one to make is called cracked chicken.
Oh, let's hear about it.
So all it is chicken breast, about 2 or 3 chicken breasts, cream cheese, salt, pepper, whatever seasoning I want. If I want to add pasta noodles to it, I can. Usually a jar of Alfredo sauce. And then I let it cook. And then at the end, I throw cheese on top of it, let it cook down for about 20, 30 more minutes. Shred the chicken. That's the hardest part. But I found a hack on TikTok for that.
Yeah.
A lot smaller.
Yeah. What's your hack?
My hack is this. I take a mixer, the prongs on a mixer, hook it up to a mixer, put a plate in between the prongs and the machine, put it in the crock pot, and use the mixer so there's no splashback on me, and it cuts up the chicken really well. Really nice. Other than doing they do have chicken shredders where you can take them out and.
Yeah. Or they have
That's exercise, by the way.
like
Everybody
Right, workout.
Yeah.
Buy a package of white meat chicken.
You shred it.
Meyer.
Chicken and all the bones and everything. Buy a white meat.
Yeah. Meyer is a great place. I don't know if you guys have Meyer, Melissa, but do you have Meyer there? You're in,
No.
I don't know.
She said no.
Yeah.
I heard a mouth no.
You're in Georgia, right?
I'm in South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Y'all don't have a Myers. Do you have
Meyer.
a Piggly Wiggly?
That I don't know, actually. We
Oh.
might.
Wow. When I lived in the South, I lived in Nashville for about 7 years. That was my favorite store, Piggly Wiggly.
Albertsons.
Yes.
Texas thing.
They
Yeah.
did have an
I
Albertson.
think Albertsons is owned by Kroger, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay, we digress. All right, let's talk about hydration. How does hydration affect cognitive function, emotional well-being? And what are some tips for staying adequately hydrated? My mom is not here this month, but she does not like water, which is so odd. Like, I don't know. I'm coffee, water, and sometimes vodka. Those are my drinks. So tell us how to stay hydrated.
So one, hydration is very important because if we're not properly hydrated, the body is made up about 80% water anyway. So if we're not properly hydrated, it's going to mess with a lot of different functions in the body, especially when it comes to cognitive thinking and just the neurons that connect from our brain to other parts of our body. We could go into muscle spasms, cramps, and things of that nature if we're not properly hydrated. So the tips that I have, and Yvette and Melissa may have more. One, always keep a water bottle with you that you can always refill, whether it be the small 16-ounce or the Stanley cups and things of that nature. You can always
Do you
keep
guys
those.
know the Stanley Cup fad? There we go. We got a small Stanley Cup.
So always keep something with you that you can refill with water. And for those who get to the point like I do, water is boring. And after a while, it tastes boring. always, you can always add those Crystal Light packets. You could add a slice of lemon to them, do the little Neos, water flavor. You could add to it. For a while, I had this one recipe book that had nothing but how to dress up and flavor water. And I would make it in my center, and I use it for all my active adult classes. So it's there in the morning when they come in. And when they leave, it's empty. And they're always asking me, how did you fix that? What is that? So I started taking the recipe and just leaving it on the table so that when they walk by, they can pick it up. You can eat fruits that are water content, cucumbers, watermelon, things of that nature. There's another one I can't remember. Lettuce is another one. Strawberries. They have water content. So all fluid doesn't have to be water necessarily. It could come from some foods. And Yvette and Melissa may have more than I know of.
I'll touch on a little bit of reasons why it is very, very important to continue to hydrate. I know that as like we age, we kind of don't want to get up and go to the bathroom. So we'll do the habit of not drinking as much. So if I don't drink as much, then I don't have to get up and go to the bathroom. But it's still important to kind of keep moving. And also with certain medications, if you're drinking coffee or alcohol, like you need to be hydrating because those are some diuretics that on top of what you're already drinking, you need to replace those liquids in your body. So it could affect a lot of things. Yeah, like muscle spasms, digestion. So just being on top of that. And then whenever we're doing things that are out of the normal, like say we're traveling, those are the times that we forget to hydrate. So kind of trying to put that on your packing list. Water bottle, check. You know, am I gonna stop at the gas station and grab a $5 water? Probably not. So let me make sure I have my water, I have my Crystal Light packets, I have my Mio, you know, ready to go, just like with other like medications or supplements that you're already taking. That should be something that's also kind of considered in that kind of checking the box of things. Yeah, making it a habit.
Melissa?
You guys brought up all the great points already. I agree. I love that idea of eating your fluids, right? And they're to add to the list we've already talked about, but like soup, smoothies, yogurt, jello, those can count towards your fluid intake as well. And I also love that idea of flavoring your water. Sometimes I will add something as simple as cucumber slices or fresh mint. And I kind of feel like I'm at the spa. It's fancy. It makes me feel good. And it really flavors the water. So that might be something to try.
Yeah, I was going to say cucumbers and mint. We like cucumbers and mint in our house in water. And it's like not something that you naturally think of, cucumbers in your water, but you can have a whole salad in your water.
For
Yeah.
a couple of hours, I wouldn't recommend a couple of days, but you can leave it in and do it again. You can add more water on top of it and you'll still have the same flavor as when you first did it.
Yeah, and it's the cucumber especially, it's like this light, like you can tell it doesn't taste like normal water, but it's really light. And anybody do cucumber in their water? Yeah. Kiwi? Oh, that's
Very
a good one.
good.
Yeah.
I get it from Starbucks.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of also see, like, does everybody kind of know if we are hydrated or not? You know, how to tell?
Oh, that's a good,
That's really
tell us
important.
about. Yeah.
So you would like your urine, you know, when you go to be a light lemonade color. So any browns or, you know, bright, dark colors, we need to hydrate because we're already dehydrated at that point.
Is there a way that you can
Yep, there's the skin test also. I mean, as we age, our skin is a little bit different, but if you pinch your skin for about a second and then you let the skin go on the top of your hand, if it snapbacks quickly, that means you are decently hydrated. And if it takes a little bit more time to kind of snapback, that means that's a sign that you're already dehydrated. Headaches, grogginess, brain fog, all the things that we already mentioned. So just staying on top of that, because those are things, your body telling you that you're already dehydrated.
One of you mentioned, like we intentionally don't drink water because we don't want to have to get up and go to the restroom. And sometimes we might be in a place where we can't get to the restroom in time. So we're intentionally, I'm speaking for a friend, guys. I'm not speaking
Yeah.
personal experience here. And then somebody else mentioned traveling. We do get dehydrated when we travel, right? I wonder why that is.
I think also like more walking. I know at the airport, it's a lot of walking to get to your gate. So that adds to that. If you're in a tropical climate, more humidity, you need to take into account that that's going to affect your hydration levels as well.
Sure. Any questions online or in person? Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, that's a good point. Hang on, I'm getting the mic to you.
To cause the problem. It's when you have other things, other kinds of drinks that force the issue more. Water doesn't seem to.
The having to go to the restroom or
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know your schedule better than anybody else. So you can plan your water intake according to your schedule. If you know that if I drink this much water and I'm going to go to bed in about an hour, then I'm going to be up during the night going back and forth to the bathroom, especially if you're on a water pill or diuretic. Sometimes water, like you said, doesn't affect it as much. But if you're doing that, you might want to plan your water intake according to your schedule. So that, again, if you're going to be out and about and it's going to be hard to get to a restroom, you want to plan so that when you're at home, you get your water so that you're near a restroom. You don't have to worry about that.
yeah.
Blood pressure too. So a lot of older adults are on like blood pressure medication or kind of watching their blood pressure. I know the doctors will tell you to, drink a little bit more water to help with that.
I know. So I'm going on almost a year for my hip replacement. Ann and I are hippies in the room. And I know when I was in recovery, they stressed drinking water and moving just to keep from our getting blood clots, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about dietary supplements. We were talking about medications that we're taking, but are there any dietary supplements that have been proven to support mental health or cognitive function that we can add to our diets?
Melissa?
Why are you
Everyone's
looking
looking
at
at you. You can't necessarily see, but they're all looking at the screen to you, Melissa.
I'm going to be the party pooper. So, I believe in the power of supplements. In my current role, I work closely with the naturopathic doctors to prescribe supplements for patients. But in my opinion, it's really based on the individual. I'm not a big advocate for, promoting a supplement across the board without knowing that individual's history and what, their deficits might be. We do know that omega-3 fatty acid supplements can be beneficial, vitamin D if you're deficient. I know there's other supplements out there, but I'm a big advocate of getting it from your food, because food has, it's called a synergistic effect, right? And so we know that when you isolate a single nutrient, it's not as powerful as when you have it combined with other nutrients in a food.
Interesting. So I'm assuming because you don't know everybody's diet. So it depends on how everyone's eating, whether or not we need to supplement with vitamins and minerals. I had another thought. I lost it. It'll come back.
And like Melissa said, a lot of times we don't know what your deficiencies are. You might have a vitamin B deficiency and you're taking other vitamins instead of that. So if you really want to know, go with your doctor, get the test to see if you're deficient in any area. You might not need a supplement. And like I said, I'm not big on saying, hey, you need to take this supplement. And I get a lot of those questions, not just from our active older adults, but I get it from our younger people who want to get bigger muscles. And my line, I don't promote a supplement for anyone to take. But the thing is this, always do the research beforehand. If you're thinking about taking a supplement, do the research. Because there's a lot of manufacturers out there who sit there and claim this and claim that. You can take this and it do this to you, and it's nothing. All they want to do is make money. So
Yeah.
do your research.
That was you made me remember, you can go to the doctor and get the blood test to see what you're low in and what you need to supplement, either with foods or vitamins. Yeah.
But I rather, if you're going to take a supplement, I'm sure there's a food alternative that you can eat that will sit there and give you the same thing that supplement says it's going to give you. So I'd rather that you get all your nutrients and everything from a food per se than a supplement. I'm not saying supplements are bad. I just prefer it coming from a food.
All right. We have an audience question.
Hi, it's a question and it's probably pretty detailed. So probably for Melissa, but you guys as well, if you know. So we're focusing a lot on cognitiveness, and I'm interested in diet for anxiety and depression. So when you have elderly and they're going through, whether it's change, maybe they moved facilities, they're not at home anymore, or they lost a spouse, or they're just any sort of change, grief, or anything like that, what kind of diets can impact that to where you can help them feel better? And I know we touched on the foods, and we find a lot of those foods in articles, the fish and the nuts and the berries. And when you go to the doctors, they give you your tests and things like that. But I'm really interested in, like, and I'll give you a specific example. That's why I said maybe it's for Melissa, and I forgot to write down the name of the specific supplement. But I looked up kale because I was like, okay, they say to eat kale. And when you eat kale, you start feeling good. And I'm a runner. So I'm like, well, I know you get endorphins and all those, those highs from running. So I'm like, well, how do you get those things from running in your foods? Or how can we help the elderly? Like, if there's something that's coming from running, or I looked up the kale and I was like, well, okay, what's in kale? And I came up with two different things. And I happened to go onto Amazon, and they both came as single supplements. But then what was interesting was they came together in a bottle as a supplement. And so I'm like, well, maybe that's a good idea. And I thought one began with an L. So, and I don't have internet connection here, so I wasn't able to look it up. But the basic concept is, like, we hear, okay, eat kale, but I'd like to know, well, what is it in the kale that's going to do this? Or what can I recommend to the facility where my parent is at that I'd like him to get more of this? And another example, sorry, I wrote down some notes to cover a lot of stuff, but was Ensure. Like, they're going to put him on Ensure because they want to increase his protein. But when I drank Ensure, I was like, I don't feel good drinking this. I think it's a depressant. And so I'm like, you're going to have these 2 a day. And so I'm really curious, not just from our cognitive, which we're always with the elderly cognitive, what about anxiety and depression? Like, what, and more specifics than what you find in the general articles?
Good. So what is in kale?
I
And I can't remember the.
Melissa, I think you're frozen.
ah
There she is.
Okay, you're moving now, but we didn't hear anything that you just said.
oh no. Did you want to go, or do you want me to repeat myself?
You can go ahead and go.
I was just, am I frozen?
Nope, we can hear you now.
Okay. I was just going to say that, kale specifically is one of those powerhouse veggies because of its antioxidant content, and it's in the cruciferous family. So it contains phytonutrients that have really protective benefits. But whether it's kale, cauliflower, broccoli, beets, whatever, all of the kind of circling back, all of those whole foods that we kind of have touched upon throughout this have the ability not just to positively impact cognition, but to help with mood disorders like anxiety or depression. And conversely, foods that are high in saturated fats or high in refined sugars, those have the power to exasperate or make anxiety or depression worse. So if we could limit the sugar and the saturated fats and those more processed foods and have more of a balance of a higher, intake of the healthier foods, that can help with the anxiety and the depression.
So helping with anxiety and depression, she mentioned, when she runs, she gets her endorphins going. Do these foods, can they actually do that?
Honestly, I don't know. I'll be really honest with you, but I would say that if you getting back to the whole gut brain connection and have a really good gut microbiome, we do know that gut bacteria can produce dopamine and epinephrine and serotonin and those chemicals that you get from running that make you feel good. So inadvertently, I would say, yeah.
When we started talking about kale, I saw one of the audience members make a face like, ugh, kale. For you guys, Gary, you seem to be the chef in the room. How do we make kale taste good and keep it healthy?
Only way I know how to make kale taste good is to put it with other vegetables.
Yeah. Chop it up
Chop
super
it up
fine.
fine,
Yep.
put it with the spring
Hide it.
lettuce, spinach,
Casseroles.
casserole.
Kale could mix well in like a quiche with eggs and some tomatoes and feta, anything with spinach.
Definitely.
Or like I've had a kale salad with dried cranberries and walnuts.
I have a question for Melissa. I was just thinking about this. What are some foods that would help build that like healthy gut microbiome that you were talking about?
Yes, I'm actually really passionate about this topic, just both personally and professionally. And I sound like a broken record, but it's those whole foods. It's making sure you're getting enough of the lean, healthy protein. It's the colorful fruits and veggies. A lot of the fruits, the vegetables, the beans, nuts, seeds, the whole grains, those have the prebiotics, which is a fancy word for saying the food that feeds the probiotic, which is the bacteria, the good bacteria. Fermented foods, so whether that be sauerkraut, pickled, vegetables, kefir, yogurt, a probiotic, those can all help make sure that you have a good gut microbiome.
And I heard too that it is also like the fiber that comes from those foods that feed the okay, I'm correct
That's
in that.
part of it too. Yeah.
Awesome. Another thing you mentioned was saturated fats. So those are the ones that are hard or solid at room temperature. Is that correct? So like which foods to kind of stay away from? Because we say saturated fat, but I mean, there's so much. What is
What are the
saturated
foods?
fat? What is trans fat? Like, what are all these things? So is that like?
Good question. I don't know if we have enough time, but so saturated fats are typically, mostly found in your animal foods. So that's going to be in your fatty cuts of meat. It's in all meat, but to a higher degree in your fatty meats. It's going to be in your full fat dairy. So that's why we say lean proteins and low fat dairy.
Okay. Low fat dairy. No bacon.
In moderation.
In moderation. Okay. Any questions, comments from the online audience too? We'll check the chat box. Yeah. Oh, what about weight loss? Here we go.
What about it?
What if we want to lose weight? Is there a secret pill we can take?
Yes, there is a secret pill you can take. You can find it on Amazon. No. Basically, it's called hard work. It's putting the work in, and it doesn't have to be what everyone says. It's not rocket science. Calories in, calories out, right? If you want to lose weight, you got to get moving. You're not going to lose weight just sitting around. And it doesn't mean you have to join a gym. And I say that because, you know, we work at a gym and you coming to the gym keeps us employed.
And you guys do have silver sneakers there.
Yes. So we do have classes that you can take. We have silver sneaker classes. We have enhanced fitness classes. We have falls prevention classes like a Tai Chi. Is it Tai Chi? Yep, Tai Chi. I got a beginner spring classes for active older adults, and I heard the same thing from each and every one of them. There's no way you're gonna get me on a bike because it's gonna hurt my rear end.
Oh, a beginner spin class. I thought you said strength class. Okay.
I know that. But the thing is, you got to get active. You got to get moving if you want to burn off what you eat. I know she's telling me I'm going over my time, so I'm gonna be quiet. Oh, pedometer, yes, definitely. Wear a pedometer. Go for a walk. This is one thing my mom, when she was 73, used to do. She lived in West Tennessee, a little town called Humboldt. If you ever been there, Strawberry Fest is great, by the way. But she lived on this huge, I don't know how many acre house that she had. And she, 10 minutes before the mailman came, because everything was a routine down there. She knows when the mailman's coming. So 10 minutes before the mailman would come, she will walk down her driveway, cross the street to her mailbox, and then walk back. She would do this until the mailman came, put the mail in the box, and drove off. Then when he did that, she would walk down and she wouldn't grab the mail at that point in time. She walked back to the house, take one more trip down, grab the mail, and then go in the house. By the time she finished that, her pedometer said she walked half a mile. Just doing that. If you can't do it, she also made a course in her house. Then she would walk from her bedroom to the kitchen, to the sitting room, to the living room, to the dining room, to the 2 guest rooms, back up the hall, back into her bedroom. And she would do this. She did one or the other every day.
And we don't get to enjoy the warmer weather like they do in Tennessee. I mean, we get a few months if we're lucky. And so we have the Keystone Mall. We have IKEA. Oh yes, IKEA is great.
Not for me, but
Not for you. Yeah, Castleton Mall. I see walkers in there. Oh, for the Costco for the samples.
samples.
So you could get your meal and your exercise all in one place. Anybody ever eat lunch at Costco with the samples? Or Sam's Club? Yeah. That's funny.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that like, hey, I know how to eat. It should be, easy. But sometimes we might be overlooking that Frappuccino that you get every morning, and that is like 500 calories, and that is a quick thing to kind of, get rid of, and that would eventually, help you lose a couple pounds. But I think asking for help is a good idea. Maybe seeing a personal trainer once a week for a check-in. Hey, am I doing this exercise correctly? Having some guidance with it could be helpful, or going to a group fitness class, having a little bit of a support system, because it is hard to do it especially if you have a lot of weight to lose. It can be hard to do it on your own. And, that's why, there are exercise professionals, there are dietitians to kind of help people out with that type of thing.
Like she says, don't be afraid to ask for help. I know at the Jordan Y as well as the Avondale Meadows YMCA, we have a very strong active older adult classes and a group, to the point where our active adult classes are a community within the community.
So you're getting some socialization and exercise.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll get socialization, exercise. And if you miss, I don't know about Jordan YMCA, but I know members who miss maybe a week or two at my Y, someone's calling them from the group, not a YMCA. Someone from the group is calling them, checking on them, see if they're all right. And they tell each other when they're going to be on vacations.
That's
So
great.
it's a community.
We have a few ladies in here that come together, or at least plan to meet here. And I love it because they'll text me and it'll be like a list of 3 people or 4 people that are going to make it or they're not going to make it, and they all come together. So that community is really important. I was going to ask about, it came and then you were talking and then I'm trying not to interrupt you, but it's
Sorry.
sometimes it's because I forget. Uh, okay, in terms of let's get to the next question here. Family members, caregiver support, aging adults, and making healthier dietary choices. How can they improve that or improve to help family members? If you're the primary caretaker of someone, how can you help your loved ones make better choices?
One, just by being present, being there with them, encouraging them to make better food choices. And even to the point where maybe you would sit and eat the same foods they're eating.
Lead by example.
By example, years ago, my wife had bariatric surgery. And if you know anything about it, they have to eat a certain way, especially coming off of surgery. Her first month, I ate the same things she ate. I pureed the food with her, added powdered milk to regular milk, which was not the greatest thing in the world. But I did that to support her journey in the beginning so that she's not alone in it. So if you're there, you're present, and you're saying, I'm with you. We're not going through this by yourself. It makes it a little bit easier for them.
I think also taking care of yourself is really important. I know it's hard to, take care of a loved one and always have that positivity and always have the, when they're down, you're like picking them up. It takes a lot on your health and on your kind of like, what you got going on, but taking time to kind of check in with yourself also is really important. And then, like I said before, looking for those resources, trying to find help, ask for help from other people, referring to dietitians. You don't have to do all the research on your own. If you do have the time for that, that is amazing. And, kudos to you. And we all appreciate you.
All right. I think she found the supplement.
Yes, so if you have a pencil, because I'm not sure I'd pronounce them right, but the one, so I basically want to know like what these supplements are for, if they're good for anything. The one is called Lutein, Lutein, and then the other one is called Zeaxanthin, Zeaxanthin. And just coincidentally, they come in the same bottle. You can buy them individually or together. And I think I came across them when I was researching kale and researching anxiety and change and mental health for elderly.
Okay. Melissa?
So yeah, those are phytochemicals that are found naturally in certain fruits and vegetables. Yeah, the lutein and I never know how to pronounce it, zeaxanthin or something like that. But yeah, they're phytochemicals found naturally in the fruits and veggies. So you can eat the fruits and veggies. You can take the supplement. I don't know much about the supplement, but
I know lutein is usually found in a lot of green leafy vegetables,
Yep.
I believe.
So that the kale. Yeah, that you were, well, yeah.
Lettuce, like the spring lettuce, dark green leafy vegetables, I believe lutein is in that, as well as in tomatoes is lutein. All right, Melissa. I'm trying to remember back to my studies, which was 10 years ago.
you're doing good. You're doing good.
Oh, we didn't hear you. It faded in. If you kind of fade in every time you talk.
I'm just supporting you, and I just said you're doing well.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So the thing I remembered, as we do age, our appetites sort of are not the same, right? Because maybe we're not moving as much. And so how do we not forget to eat, like Yvette said earlier? And how do we just make sure that we're getting the right amount of meals in during the day?
take advantage of those times when you are hungry. If you kind of notice, oh, after this walk, I was, ravenous. All right. So now I'm gonna, note that every time I walk, I'll have like a snack ready to go. And then, throughout the day, maybe setting alarms, like, all right, it's lunchtime. All right, it's dinner, having kind of a routine going. And then eating foods that you like. Yes. I mean, also being mindful of, what we are eating, making sure that we're eating our whole foods, getting all of our nutrients and stuff in. But yeah, since that window of, being hungry and we get fuller faster, making sure that those foods are nutrient dense and we're not just eating, just like whatever's in the cabinet because we're hungry at that moment. And also too, our taste buds change as we age. So you might not like the foods that you used to like before, and then just kind of, oh, go ahead. Do it again.
Yes, I'm running over there. While I'm walking over here, yeah, that is so true about our taste buds. As a child, I hated green beans. And part of it was because my mom didn't cook them she's not here, so I can talk about her, right? They weren't good. They were just like canned French cut green beans, but fresh green beans with a little salt and pepper are delicious. Yeah. Okay.
It's slightly off topic, but it's sort of nutrition wise. And as far as losing hair, I was told just in the last couple of weeks to get rosemary oil and like you spray it on your scalp. And like you can just buy rosemary and cook it up like tea and then just put that on your scalp. So I was wondering if any of you have heard anything about that or in the nutrition or dietitian health world, if they've talked about that as far as losing hair.
I do rosemary every day.
That's funny, Gary.
Doesn't work.
I've heard that and like peppermint or different thing. I'm not sure if it works. Actually, maybe like did your like diet or not dietitian dermatologist? Oh, okay. So maybe like a dermatologist could, yeah. Because hair loss can be from many different things. I know that it can be like from maybe diet, you're not getting enough of a certain nutrient. It could also be stress. It could be like breakage if you have like a really tight ponytail or hats, things like that. So I think going to a dermatologist and kind of narrowing down what it is, and then from there they can kind of do like recommendations. Maybe it's rosemary, maybe it's stop tying your hair so tight or whatever it may be. But yeah.
Yeah. Amazon and Google. Yes. They have all kinds of things for us. Okay. I'm going to check. We have plenty of time left. 20 minutes or so. We talked about how caregivers can support. I loved that about eating the same things as our people that we're caring for. What are the most common misconceptions or myths about nutrition and mental health, and how can we address them effectively?
A lot of myths or misconceptions that I hear is that I have to eat the big 3 meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I have to eat those. Got to eat those. My thing is I don't break down meals as far as breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, whatever part of the day, because I got some people who work 3rd shifts. When they get home, they're going to sleep. When they wake up, it will become what can be considered lunch. Their dinner. So sometimes I tell them, flip your days. Your meal 1, 2, 3, 4.
So not necessarily a breakfast, lunch,
Not a
and
breakfast,
dinner.
lunch, and dinner.
You're saying 4. What's this 4th meal you're
A snack.
thinking of? Okay.
Anything to me, and this is just my mind because I come from a bodybuilding background, anything that you put in your mouth is a meal to me. Again, that's my opinion. Melissa may have some other ones, Yvette may have some other ones. If you put it in your mouth, to me, it's a meal. If I sit there and I have a protein and a carb, that's a meal. So if I have a handful of snacks, walnuts, shredded wheat, that's a meal to me. Anything that I consume, it's a meal. So that's one of the myths that I hear. We all, because if we don't eat between 8 and 9, I miss breakfast and I wait until 12 to eat. But then you've gone, whatever time you went to bed the night before, say you went to bed at 8 p.m., 8 a.m., you wake up. I know some people don't do that. I don't know who does. I don't go to bed till midnight. But still, if I go to bed midnight until 8, I haven't eaten between midnight and 8 a.m. when I wake up. If I don't eat then I might not eat again until 11, 12. Well, I've gone almost 12 hours without having anything. If people do that on a regular basis, and what they end up, to me, they end up entering their body into what's called, I call it starvation mode. Because now anything that you eat, after that, you're binging on. You're just going to eat, just to get something in you. And your body's like, what am I going to do with this? Wait a minute, slow down. So
What about intermittent fasting?
intermittent fasting is good. Now, I've dabbled with it. I had no problems with it.
What is intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting is you're saying, I'm not going to have anything to eat between a certain time and a certain time, but between this time and this time, I'm going to eat. So let's say you do a 16-hour intermittent fasting. So from 8 p.m. on tonight, I won't eat until 12 noon tomorrow. From 12 to 8, I can eat as much as I want. Now, I will say there has to be proper nutrition between 12 and 8 that you eat, but you're going to eat. And I find I might get 2 meals in that time, especially because most of the time I'm at work. So when noon comes, it's like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm eat. And then I might not eat again until when I get home. And it's like, oh, it's 7:55. I better eat before 8.
Yeah.
So the intermittent fasting is good if you're able to stay on track with it.
Melissa, do you want to add anything to that? And somebody in the audience said, what is the purpose of intermittent fasting?
I think that Gary did a great job of explaining it. Yeah, I think people do it for different reasons. In my population, there's a lot of interesting research around intermittent fasting for cancer patients and how it can help to support their current treatments that they're going through. The general population may do it for weight loss efforts or to help control their blood sugars or, to tap into their fat stores. So, I think we do it for a variety of reasons. I don't know if the research is sold on it one way or the other, but teach their own, I guess, if you enjoy it and it works for you.
Right.
I've heard intermittent fasting is good, but the food that you're eating has to be proper nutrition when you are eating.
And it should be proper nutrition. Not saying that you can't have what I call a cheat meal every now and then. You still could, but you should have you should be eating properly. Let me just say that. And like you said, the purpose for it is what are you trying to get out of it? What's your goal of intermittent fasting? When I do intermittent fasting, I did it mostly because I'm a diabetic. And
You were doing it to control blood sugar.
I control blood sugars because after my second fight with COVID, my blood sugars soared and I could not get them under control. So I did intermittent fasting to try to help get it under control. Not for you lose weight, but mine was more for controlling my blood sugar.
Did somebody enter the weight room just now? I saw the little blue button up there. Can you tell? Okay. Lifting weights. Yeah. Okay. You had
Yeah, I love these meetings because I always like trying to take advantage of all the free information. So with Melissa's background in oncology, and you mentioned cancer research, if you have, let's say breast cancer runs in your family up to, several generations, so like grandmother all the way down, is there anything, I know you're probably address it from what you said. And now they have cancer. So how are we going to work the diet around all the cancer treatment? Is there any diet recommendations to prevent it? I mean, I know that we don't even know what causes it, so that's probably a tough question, but I just thought, is there anything we should be doing if we have cancer running in our family?
Absolutely. That is a really great question. And I would encourage, and I can put it in the chat, but the American Institute for Cancer Research is an excellent resource. As the title implies, that's all they do is they research nutrition and how it impacts people who've been diagnosed with cancer after their diagnosis into survivorship, and also for preventative measures. And so for people who have a family history of breast cancer, there are absolutely things that you can do to reduce your risk, including maintain a healthy weight, abstain from alcohol or consume it in very limited quantities, eating a variety of colorful fruits, veggies, limiting red meat consumption, minimizing processed meat consumption. But I can drop the link in the, oh, you already did it. Darn, you're good. You're fast.
That was Sarah McCord. Darn, you're good.
Yeah. So,
Great. I was noticing when I was back there, giving the audience member the mic, it looks like on screen there's nobody in the room because everybody is sat in the back 2 rows. I promise you, there are people in the room, Melissa.
that is okay. So,
Oh, yes, ma'am. I saw your hand earlier. We have an audience question.
Not much has been said about calcium. Can you go into that a little bit more? Because I take calcium supplements. I have for years. Okay.
Definitely cancer. Sorry, no, not cancer supplements. Calcium supplements are beneficial if you're not getting it from your regular sources. It does help in getting that, especially as we age, we lose bone mineral density. And if we're starting to move, we get osteoporosis and things of that nature. Where we're not standing straight up, we're more hunched over. So we're losing that strength in the bones. So calcium will help. Also will help actually resistance training. Any type of resistance training. That doesn't mean you're going to pick up a 100-pound dumbbell and I'm going to make you walk around with it. It does anything that puts resistance on the body. So that can be a dumbbell, that could be a kettlebell. Resistance bands are huge now. And you can find them almost anywhere. I think I saw them at Kroger one time. Resistance bands, and they come with the kit tool where you can use it on a doorknob or a door frame. So it doesn't, if you've seen the videos, they're hilarious, where people pull on it and it snaps back and hit them in the middle of the back or in their face or something like that. Google it, it's hilarious. You'll spend there all day. Hey, but I do that to show you don't do that for yourself. Make sure that you got it properly anchored. But you can use resistance bands to put resistance on the body, which in turn will help build up and fortify your bones.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Why do weights and resistant bands work to help keep our bones healthy?
It's because we're putting resistance on the bones. We're putting resistance on the ligaments. We're putting resistance on the muscles. So when we're doing that, one thing, everybody thinks that if I lift weights, I'm building muscles in the gym. No, you're tearing muscle apart in the gym. It's the recovery and rest that helps build the muscle. So recovery and rest is just as important. But that stress on the body basically sends a signal in the body that says, hey, we're going to have to put more calcium. We're going to have to fortify these muscles. We're going to have to fortify these bones to help with the weight that we're putting on the body.
Muscle. So building muscle can help with balance and our kind of mobility also. So that way we can protect ourselves from falling. And just as we age, it's just harder to balance, and muscle kind of helps prevent that. You have like more of your proprioception, you're kind of used to walking. I mean, the Y has a balance class and a fall prevention class and a fall practicing class where we have a bunch of mats. Yes, we practice
Where you
falling.
could fall correctly.
Yes, so that way you can fall correctly. You don't put a hand out and, break an arm or something. So that's every like third Thursday. They have pads. Somebody helps you up, after you fall also. So that's kind of nice that we have people there for that too.
Falling correctly, that's neat. I never understood more than I do now about the importance of balance because of my hip replacement and the importance of balance, and then also the importance of having strong and flexible hips. Like it's the midsection of your body that is, I mean, the most important, I would say.
If we look at the midsection of our bodies, our hips, our abdomen, our glutes, I'll even add the quads and hamstrings in it. A lot of the weight that we carry are supported by those areas. So if we have weak hamstrings, weak quads, weak abdomens, weak hips, it might not show up right in that area, but you'll have a deficiency somewhere else in the body that will become weak because of this area being weak. So I always recommend to all of my active older adults, make sure that you're working the mid portion of your body. Because if you think about it, every time we take a step, there's ground forces that's sending shock waves up the body. Every time we take a step, shock waves go up the body, ankles, knees, hips. If those areas are not strong enough, after a while, after so many steps that we take, we end up causing some type of irritation with the ligaments, nerves, muscles in that area that can break down. But if we strengthen it, we absorb more of the shock. We're able to carry the load that our upper body's putting on us because gravity is pulling on us. And it all comes basically in the midsection. So that's strengthening up your abs.
That's interesting. All right, we have a question.
Well, and the calcium is also a doctor thing. 4 years ago, I fell and broke both arms, my upper left arm and smashed my right elbow. And he sent me to a bone density doctor. And so I've been going regularly since then. But my regular doctor last year said, nope, you need to up your calcium. So, it's all those tests that the regular doctors run that tell you really where you need to go.
And that's why it is so important. And I encourage everyone to go see a doctor. Make sure you have your annual checkup because it can catch a lot of things. Before I got diagnosed as a diabetic, I would never go to the doctor unless I was in the hospital coughing up blood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go.
I think that might be a.
I'm like, not bad night, like.
I think that's a male thing, maybe
And
mostly.
it is. A lot of males do it. We're not going to go to the doctor. No, go to the doctor.
After you're 65.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, Medicare, you have to have an annual exam. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna open it up to some last questions online or in person. If you're online, just type your questions in the chat box or unmute your mic or raise your hand and we will get to you. *6 if you're on your telephone. While we're waiting on that, I just want to remind everybody June 13th is canceled. So if you show up here in person in June, you're going to be in a room full of realtors learning about how to serve senior citizens in real estate because that's what our training is about. And then if you show up online, we're not going to be there. So just a reminder.
That sounds fascinating. Can I come?
Yeah, sure. Come on. It's $700. Yeah.
Got to sell a couple of houses first.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Well, I want to say thank you again to our sponsors. And if you are still here and a sponsor, remember to hop on to our live stream on YouTube and Facebook at Indie Real Estate Experts and pop your information into the chat box for folks to learn more about your company. You've gotten your packets there, and if you're online, you have the drive, the Google Drive link to our packets. Just reminding you what we do. We do indie real estate experts, sorting, packing, moving, resettling, real estate and liquidation services. We have actually 3 new initiatives for this year, pop-ups. Those are for senior communities. We'll do an hour downsizing class at senior communities, but we also have coaching, downsizing coaching. If you're looking for that, 4 coaching sessions, individual, on how to downsize. And then our web developers are developing a 30-day self-paced, it's self-paced, but it's made to be completed in 30 days course that's online. It's a downsizing course. So it's called Downsizers Club. So look out for that. And then I think in your packets, there are URL or QR codes that you can scan and learn more about those initiatives. Any last questions? Be sure, if you're in person, to fill out that feedback form. We do look at those and take your suggestions into account. And then in July, when we return, we're going to be talking about something we talk about every year because it's such a juicy topic. We'll have a financial planner, an elder law attorney, and a funeral director. So we always say we've got an attorney, an accountant, and a funeral director in the room. It's going to be a party.
That sounds like the beginning of a bad joke.
Right. A funeral director, an attorney, and an accountant walk into a bar. Yeah. What happens next? Right. So thank you for joining us online. Melissa, thank you so much. Melissa and I are both in the MBA program at IU, the hybrid program. And so I thought, when I was looking for speakers, we have such a wonderful network of super intelligent people. I reached out, and Melissa messaged me and volunteered to be on here. So thank you very much. And thank you to Yvette and Gary too for taking your time out to speak to our group. And again, thank you to our sponsors. Right. See you guys.
Thank you.
I'm